Hello everyone. If you're watching this for the first time, my name is Adrienne and I am a former public school teacher turned homeschool mom. So I'm very passionate about sharing everything that I've learned and our journey. And I am going to cover in this video the different kinds of homeschooling because that is one of the many, many blessings of homeschooling. It is not a one size fits all approach. Just like any parent knows that each child is not the same. They all have their different little quirks and their different interests and personalities and learning styles. So you can really tailor your homeschooling to fit your family and your lifestyle. So I just looked up a few different terms that I have heard thrown around in the homeschool world so I can share some ideas with you so that you don't make the same mistake that I made as a teacher and think that you have to bring what is considered school, like in the brick and mortar schools, into your home, because that is not homeschooling. That is doing school at home. And I have covered that in another video. You head on over and check that one out. I go into much more detail. So first term that is kind of new is called unschooling. And this is when you don't really follow a specific plan or style. You kind of just are very charismatic about it and free-spirited and very flexible, and you might do worksheets one day and you might go on a nature hike the next day or something like that. It's not structured. Usually it's kind of whatever you want to make it. This helps to break families, parents and children, of all kinds of misconceptions about school, because I think a lot of times we have to put in our brains, we put learning in like a box, and if it's not in this box, then it can't be learning. And homeschooling is all about thinking and looking outside of the box for learning, because learning is all around us, right? We didn't have to send our kids to school to learn how to crawl. Like, they figured it out, and if they couldn't figure it out, they had therapists that helped show them and those people in their lives who helped guide them in that way. So it's really neat to embrace this, especially if you're starting out. We did this for a few weeks just to kind of get a feel for it, but this isn't really our style as a family. But if that is your thing, then that is awesome. Another term that I have heard thrown around is called car schooling. I wasn't able to find a whole lot of information on it, but I do know that lots of people like to travel with homeschooling, and you can take school wherever you are. There's lots of resources that you can use in the car as far as like CDs to listen to. We do lots of memorization through songs. You can listen to that in the car. You can have your kids working in the car while they're riding. You can use the environment around you to learn. Maybe you're looking at different license plates and you can incorporate that into some kind of geography lesson, or maybe you're looking at like the landscapes and you're talking about God's beautiful nature and how his hand designed all the beauty around us. There's so many options of what you can do even in the car. Another one is just following a curriculum, and there is nothing wrong with this. I've found a few different curriculums that I really like. As a former teacher, I think it's hard for me to find something that checks off all my boxes, so I'm constantly tweaking things, but it's nice to have something to go from so you're not starting completely from scratch. So it would be like a box curriculum set that you would buy, open and go, super low prep. Most everything is done for you. It's an amazing thing if you are a busy mom and you don't want to have a lot of prep before or after. We love the good and the beautiful because it is just open and go, and there are very minimal supplies, and a lot of times they're optional. You can totally do the lessons without them, and she incorporates lots of things into it: paintings, old paintings, and God, and memorization of poems. It's just a really beautiful and rich curriculum that we use. I don't get lots of different extras. I just get the workbook thing and go for it. Another style is called Charlotte Mason, and this is really appealing to me as I'm learning more and more about health and how we learn. This teaches the whole child, and you're not just focusing on their mind. You want to focus on the whole child, so you're working with relationships and life skills. You could read books together. You could have a nature journal. You could sing together. You have short little lessons to teach them certain skills, and they're learning through play, which is how we were designed to learn. And unfortunately, in the school systems, that has been taken out because of testing and all kinds of regulations that I feel have no business in younger grades. personal opinion. So Charlotte Mason, learning through play and teaching the whole child. Then there's classical, which we also like. That looks at the big picture. It incorporates art and history and a love of learning. You teach them how to think, not what to think. There's a really heavy component on memorization, and then you go into like an understanding stage and then an application of what you know stage. And in classical, they call that the grammar stage, the dialectic stage, and the rhetoric stage. Then there's something called a unit study, which can be fun too, to kind of sprinkle throughout the year, especially if you have something that your kids are very passionate about. My daughter loves animals, so we do this occasionally throughout the year. Maybe you go to the aquarium and your kids are super interested in marine life. You could do a unit study on marine life. And that's where you just pick a topic and everything is tied to that. And this is awesome because you can do it for kids of any age and they can all learn together. Say the aquarium example. You go to the aquarium and your one child is super into like stingrays and another one really likes the dolphins. And it's been a while since I've been to an aquarium, so I'm not sure what you're going to see there, but you get the idea. Then you can do your math work can have, I don't know, 15 stingrays in a word problem, or you could have them manipulating they've got these little like sea creatures on Amazon that you can buy, so they've got little things to manipulate. Maybe you're working on fractions, and everything is going back to that one unit or that one topic that you have chosen. And you're reading about ocean life, and maybe you're doing little activities. Maybe they act out a play and they're a whale. There's lots of options there, but the focus is on that topic, and then you kind of go from there. And you can purchase unit studies online. There's different ones that are free. If you just search unit study and then whatever topic you're doing, you'll be able to find a ton of ideas. I usually start online and see what I can find instead of starting from scratch. Which leads me to my next type of homeschooling, and this is the eclectic I call it piecemealing stage. This is very, very time intensive. I did this for science and history last year, and it was hours and hours and hours on the computer searching what I wanted to find, then downloading it and printing it out, and it is very, very time consuming. However, you can super tailor it to what your kids' interests are and what their learning style is. So if you have the time and the patience to do that, this is an awesome option as well. I would recommend starting with the website called Teachers Pay Teachers. There's tons of free resources on there, and there's resources that are a few dollars if you really like them. There's something called Brain Pop. I believe you have to buy a subscription. I'm not sure how much that costs. You can look on YouTube and find videos. There's tons of kids learning videos on YouTube. I would just caution you to be mindful that the commercials that come on aren't always child appropriate. I don't know how you say that. Appropriate for children. So make sure that you are there while they're watching the video and you don't like set it on and then like go do your laundry, because a commercial might pop up or an ad that's not appropriate. You can also check Pinterest, and you can check your local library for books and resources. This is a very time-intensive way to homeschool, but it can be done. I did it for a couple subjects and it was very overwhelming. So this year I am trying out some different curriculum. The beauty though, you can pick one of these and go for it. And if you don't like it, you don't have to stay with it. You can pick something else. You can switch over to something else. Your styles can change. Your kids can change. You might have a mixture like we do. We do like the open and go curriculum. We do a little bit of classical. I like the Charlotte Mason. So I kind of like pick my favorite pieces out of all of them. Sometimes when our schedule's a little crazy, we're kind of piecemealing where we can shove little things in our pockets of time. If we're taking a break from school, we might be doing some trips to the zoo and some nature walks and learning through play, a lot learning through play. So you can adjust your homeschool life according to your life, and you're not trying to fit your life around school. School becomes part of your life, which is why one of the many reasons that we really love homeschooling, and you have that connection with your kids that you don't necessarily get when you send them off to school during the day, because you're just together so much more. I would recommend picking something to start with, and then at the end of the month, kind of doing an evaluation. Look at what you did well and look at what you need to improve upon. And we are all growing, right? We're all changing. We can always improve. There's always room for improvement. And then kind of adjust accordingly. If you hate the style that you chose, try a different one. If you want to involve your kids, if they're a little bit older and they can understand, maybe you can give them some examples. You can look online at different ideas and kind of get their input in. If they're putting their ideas in, they're going to have more of a buy-in and that's just going to make them even more excited. So I would recommend doing that. Those are just some options. There's more that I did not list in this video. I do have a planner on Etsy that I will drop somewhere in the description, in the comments, a link where I created kind of a generic plan that I use for the year, where I lay out why I homeschool. That's just for me to remind myself on the hard days. And then I have my goals for my kids for the year. I have our schedule all laid out, when we're going to take breaks, so I know when I can plan trips. And then I have each month a focus that I want as far as like scripture memorization. I want to do hymns this year and field trips and what we're focusing on for science and history. And then a little reflection piece where I just keep my thoughts about the month and how everything went and what I can do differently for next year. So again, it's on Etsy. I'll drop the link somewhere, and I hope this video gave you tons of value. I would love to know. Make sure you're hitting the like button or subscribe wherever you're watching this video, so that you can be notified when I post another one next week. And I hope you have a great day.